Welcome to the Systems Alliance. My name is Jexy, and in this video, we're going to go over this weekend's box office, where Shazam finishes #1 both domestic and internationally, and Captain Marvel crosses $1 billion. So coming in at #1 is Shazam, domestically with over $53 million, which puts its domestic total at just under 57 million, because you have to remember there were some early showings, one of which I was fortunate enough to go to a couple weeks back. So that provides a little bit of an extra boost for Shazam, but still a solid #1 opening. A little bit smaller than Aquaman's, but I don't think it was expected to make as much as Aquaman. The multiplier would suggest that Shazam maybe goes on to make 160 million. I'm seeing closer to maybe 180. I think because it's so well reviewed, people are having so much fun with it, and the word of mouth is so good, I see it getting a little bit more, and I wouldn't even be surprised if it reached the $200 million mark here domestically. And internationally, it did even a little bit better this weekend. Shazam brought in 102 million from overseas markets, with just under 31 being with China, which is huge because, as we've seen with Aquaman, if a movie starts doing well in China and has some good legs there, it could really carry it. So I think that would really help its international gross. Also, the only country it hasn't opened up in yet is Japan. So even though it hasn't had, say the same opening as Aquaman, I still think it's going to be a very big movie overall. I think we're probably going to see over 600 million worldwide. We'll just have to see how the legs hold, but if it can make some good money these next few weeks before Avengers Endgame comes out, I would definitely say we're on track to get over 600 million for Shazam. And that would be a huge victory for Warner Brothers and DC, because Shazam only cost $100 million to make. So it's already made that back just in its opening weekend. Globally, it stands at just under 159 million. So obviously there is the advertising budget too, of course, but I think this will be a very profitable movie for Warner Brothers and DC, and I look forward to see where this goes, and then of course where the next movie, Joker, goes. Coming in at #2 this weekend is Pet Sematary. So a solid opening for Stephen King. The reviews not nearly as good as Shazam. Shazam is in the low 90s for the Rotten Tomatoes score. Pet Sematary just cracking 60, so not nearly the same love for it. Obviously, a lot of people are saying they like the original better. Whatever it is, still a very solid opening. The budget was only 21 million, so it's already, just like Shazam, made more than its budget back. I think it'll be a successful movie, but I'm not sure it'll be that huge of a movie overall. I don't see this one holding on too long because of the reviews. Pet Sematary made over $17 million in its international gross this weekend, so total it's over 42 million for its opening. So I think this will once again be a definite moneymaker for the studio, a solid gross for a Stephen King movie. Obviously, it's not the monster hit like it was, and the next It I'm sure will be, but still pretty solid. Coming in at #3 this weekend is Disney's Dumbo, and this movie fell hard, and I believe I predicted it in my last update for last weekend, and there's a reason why, and it's because the movie kind of stinks. That's my opinion, but it also seems to be maybe the majority's opinion. So the movie is rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. A lot of families are turned off by it. It's not kid-friendly. It's more Tim Burton weird, except it's supposed to be a lovable Dumbo character. And, all the characters that you knew from the original don't do jack in this movie. So a lot of people are disappointed, and it's showing because a 60% drop is huge. And the 18 million brings its domestic total to just over 76 million. And when your budget is 170 million, and you're a Disney movie, so you obviously have a ton of marketing costs too, this movie is going to lose money. It's not going to be able to make its money back, and its international gross is not helping it enough either. Internationally, it brought in just over 40 million for a international total of just over 137 million. So total, that's only $214 million globally. And as I mentioned before, with a $170 million budget, you probably have to make about $500 million, $500 million in order to start turning a profit. And with your two largest weeks already in the books and you're slightly less than 214, you're definitely guaranteed to lose money at this point. And it's unfortunate because this is really the first one that's really tanking for them. Coming in fourth this weekend, dropping a hefty 58% and bringing in a little bit over 13.8 million is Us. Jordan Peele's Us, obviously a smash hit, but maybe Pet Sematary took a little bit out of it, a little bit more than maybe I thought, or maybe, like I mentioned before, the audience reviews are a little bit iffy. So maybe it's just falling like a normal horror movie at this point, which is, a little disappointing or a little confusing given the, crazy high 90s Rotten Tomato score. But at the same time, it's still already made way more than its budget back. And it also brought in over 10 million internationally this weekend as well. Globally, it's at 216 million. And so just to show you the difference, Us is at 216 million with a $20 million budget, and Dumbo is at 214 million with a $170 million budget. So Us, regardless of its large drop and its third weekend, still a massive hit and a huge moneymaker, whereas Dumbo, not so much. Now coming in fifth this weekend with a very strong hold is Captain Marvel, falling just under 39% to bring in just under 12.7 million. So a great hold for Captain Marvel, and this basically solidifies my belief that it will make in that, $440 million range domestically, especially because it'll still keep holding on there until Avengers Endgame comes out. And I'm sure people will want to see Captain Marvel and then see Endgame, just as they did want to see Black Panther and Infinity War. Overseas, it brought in over 14 million, and its global total is now $1,037 million. And as I mentioned, I think this will finish around Aquaman territory. It's holding strong domestic. I think its international total is dropping pretty fast, so I'm not sure it will reach that 1.2 billion, but it'll definitely be somewhere between that 1.1 and 1.2 billion range. Who knows? Maybe it lasts even longer once Endgame comes out, or maybe that doesn't really help it at all. We'll just have to see, but I'm thinking somewhere between 1.1 and 1.2 billion dollars for the total of Captain Marvel, which is a massive hit. And it seems like, at least with Marvel, Disney really can't lose right now. So that's this weekend's box office recap. Let me know your thoughts. Are you happy that Captain Marvel passed $1 billion, or can you not believe it? Do you think it will end up passing Aquaman, or do you think it'll come up just a little bit short? Do you think Endgame will help it out at all? What are your thoughts on Us and Pet Sematary? Do you think because they're both horror, they might have gobbled up the same audience this weekend? Let me know your thoughts on that, as well as Dumbo. Are you surprised that it dropped so much? Are you not surprised? Are you surprised that it had that big of a budget to begin with for a Tim Burton movie, which now that I think about it is pretty odd. I almost would think that's its highest budget ever, but who knows? And what are your thoughts, of course, on Shazam? DC and Warner Brothers definitely have a hit on their hands with a nice tight budget and a big opening. I think this movie is going to be a huge success for them. And obviously, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. And check out some of these other movies if you want as well. Let me know your thoughts on them and the box office down in the comment section below. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, hit me up on Twitter, and we'll catch you next time.